And what is good, squad? Teaminator back for another episode of Star Wars Legions. Today we have one of the big boys. You already know. We got the AA5 speeder truck unit expansion for the Rebels and for the uh, special spoiler, Shadow Collective. Yes, sir. We're getting ready to expand our army to the Shadow Collective force of Darth Maul's legions of the criminal underworld. So that will be most certainly interesting to find out and see how this can pair up with that. Now, unfortunately, it only shows the Republic, New Republic insignia of the Rebels, but and the latest updates and everything that has come out so far from the new Atomic Mass Gaming, we have confirmation that practically that works. Or if not, then we'll just pretty much improvise as normal. But without further ado, we are, of course, going to open this up and give our 5-point review and do the build and show you how it goes. But first, actually, we're going to be reading the little caption right quick. A frequent sight on the Outer Rim territories, the AA5 speeder truck has both ranged and reliable traits that make its heavy transport flag, civilian speeder truck, performance, conservation, to combat transport, able to able to be fitted with armor plating and turret-mounted weapons, and possessing ample roof for passenger cargo, even emergency medical equipment. The versatile AA5 is the main selling point. The expansion for Star Wars Legion contains one finely sculpted AA5 truck with miniature enough for one heavy unit, along with unit upgrade cards, field in battle. Alright. So it's a giant speeder that basically can export and import your variables, numbers. That is a lot. Okay, well, there's going to be a lot of building involved with this one. You already know. And then we got a little bit of the stand, a little bit of a plate thing, and of course we have our very fine window. Gonna put that on very last, of course. Got our stand. And we got a lot of cards. Whoo-wee. All right. And then, of course, we have one of the larger base platings. It is going to be probably... My assumption is probably going to be about this big. And it is probably going to be filling up the majority of the base. This thing's pretty cool. I mean, it's literally just a giant, port. But in terms of its use and in terms of playability of this thing, from what I've seen so far, it looks pretty fun. And from what I see, it looks like it's got shielding. I'm not entirely sure, but okay. All right, so A5 speeder truck. We'll look at this first, and then look at all the extra upgrades that it comes with in a moment. So in total, this guy is only 75 points. That's cheap. That's very cheap for the Rebels. I'm gonna look at the cards right quick. Oh man, you got Shriv. Cool. Yes, I'll show all the cards in a moment. I'm just gonna be checking out, seeing how much the price is. All in all, it looks like you can have this guy decked out for about 105 at the absolute most. So that's honestly cheaper than most special units in most cases, because your special units, you're going to be having, the cheapest that I've seen so far has been the Imperial Scout Troopers, and that's 65 points or something like that. So you do that and then add their sniper, that's another 28, something like that, right? So 65 and 28, you're adding your stuff up to just about over 9. You're almost at 100 at that point, right? So yeah, this guy's cheap. For the Rebel Alliance too, that's pretty good. You do have light shielding or light defense die, but I mean, that's not really going to matter. This thing is meant to pick up your troops and take them from point A to point B. It's only transport 1, unfortunately, so you can only have 1 troop be moving in 1 each, which, it comes with its own cost, I guess. But, I mean, everything that I've seen so far has only had transport 1, so that's fine. You do have armor, pretty much canceling all hit results. Hover ground, basically reverse standby, is treated as vehicle. You basically, you can reverse and standby. You are treated as a ground vehicle by other units. Reposition, either before you perform a standard move. Basically, you get to move around. Pretty cool. Or before or after, basically. Transport, it's closed, so basically your guys are safe. If they try to get shot at, they're going to have to be worrying about the truck first. Weak points on the sides. Oh, no, it's only the rear. Weak point is the rear. While defending, the attack leader basically has impact too if they're going to be hitting you from the back, so don't let them hit you from the back, if you know what I'm saying. So, with their abilities, it's not bad. Like, I'll definitely give it a 4 out of 5. For their abilities and the price alone, and the amount of stuff that you can equip these guys with. You can equip them with 2 gunners and 1 pilot. Okay, so all in all, yeah, definitely a 4 out of 5 card. You don't have any basic attacks, so you are going to have to equip that. But other than that, like, it's pretty beefy for 75. Like 8 health, you can't beat that. 6 hull, search to defense. That kind of makes up for their defense, but I have seen them go quickly on the field, so it's kind of like, get your troops from point A to point B, or it's like an objective vehicle. It helps you with that. So the first thing that we are going to be starting off with for their attachments is going to be a heavy laser retrofit, which is basically going to be your ATRT just thrown on top. But you don't have front cover, or you basically have like 360 cover view. It's range 1 to 4. That's not terrible. Critical 1, it's average. It's a 16, so I really probably wouldn't be running that. I feel like there would be other things that could be better. With that, I would probably choose the HG 2G quad laser. This thing throwing nasty 6 dice. That is just terrible for your opponent. So it's basically like a little rotary gun, but basically on top of the truck. I would choose that. I would most likely choose that. With impact 2, you're going to be popping off on some armored stuff. Yeah, not too terrible. With that, we're going to be having Shriv. Shriv Shurgov basically activates as a field commander. Well, a friendly neutral command card is played, you may be nominated as the commander. Okay. I mean, he's not really going to be able to activate anything except your basic cards, so he'd basically be able to pop these off. Choose a friendly trooper unit you're transporting at range 1 or 2. It gains a dodge token, main. And may gain a suppression token. So it gets a dodge, but it also gets a suppression. That's actually a double win for the rebels, and the certain plays that you can do. That is definitely a particular win. Hotshot pilot. You gain sharpshooter 1. Performing an attack, you basically loses their cover by 1. That's not terrible. Don't know why it's a Wookiee, though. I guess they are pretty good pilots. You get 2 of them, so you get to have a couple different pilots for a couple different things. Rebels only. And then you got the Reckless Driver. Oh, God. Let's see what this guy does. When you activate, you perform a compulsory move. You cannot reverse. First time during your activation that you displace an enemy unit, roll 1 white defense die. Each mini on that unit suffers 1 wound for each hit result. That's pretty funny. I would honestly choose the Reckless Driver. He's pretty cheap, too. Outer Rim Speeder Jockey. Basically, he gets cover 1. That's not too terrible. But it's 10 points. The guy likes to be speed. If you need the speed, then it might be it. Now, this is where we get interesting. The personnel that you can have aboard. Basically, a refurbished Gonk droid. Looks like a... I see. So you have the speeder truck or you get the... okay, so it can basically do the AA5 speeder truck or the X-34 land speeder, which I do believe is for the Imperial alternate version, which has hover 2, if I'd have to say. Okay, during the end of the phase of the roll, 1 defense die for each of your inactive shield tokens. For each hit result, flip 1 inactive shield token. Okay, so you basically get to throw some shields on your guy. All right. Unstable RS Astromech. Practically at the end of your activation, perform an attack or move, then roll 3 black attack die. Suffer 1 wound for each. So you basically get to perform an attack or move, but then you would have to suffer X amount of wounds. That is a risky card, not gonna lie. Definitely risky. Probably wouldn't do that. Unorthodox Technician. Start activation phase, roll 3 red defense die. For each hit or surge, choose a different friendly unit that are transporting a range 1 to 3. Each chosen unit gains an aim token. Okay. Backworld Medic. Remove 1 wound or poison token from, or restore 1 minion to friendly non-droid units that you're transporting at range 1. Transporting or at range 1 or line of sight. Then roll 2 white defense die. That unit gains suppression equal to the hits. That's probably going to be definitely one of the first guys that I'd be choosing. Of course, you're going to be having the onboard command channel while activated. You can basically activate your unit. It's pretty nice. Link targeting array, always nice. And then that's pretty much it. So, I know that was a little bit of gibberish. It's currently 12 at night while I'm making this. So we're trying to work out the kinks. But I would definitely say this guy would be awesome. I would probably throw out a list just right quick of one of several different things you could probably do to make this truck the most effective. If you want to use all your points or not, I'll use a points effective economy, and then I'll use a completely decked out version. So the points... All right, for the cost effectiveness, I'd probably just pop this. You wouldn't even really need a mounted turret for this speeder. It's really unnecessary. Again, you're mostly using this thing from for transportation, moving from point A to point B. On top of that, your opponent can't really do much in response to this vehicle other than trying to attack it. So the best way to try and prevent that from happening is have one of several things. You'd probably need the expansion pack to have a rebel mechanic in order to make sure this thing is kind of functioning, in order to have a minor bit of cohesion. But if you're going to be dealing with like round after round of fire, it wouldn't really be able to do much. But I would have one of these 3 cards. Right off the bat, they're really good from what I've seen. They all cost less than 15 points, 10 being the most, and just for 2 of them at least. Unorthodox Tactician, Backworld Medic, or Outer Rim Jockey. Any 3 of these would be great to add on. 1 individually would be fine, but all 3 would probably be the best, but it would also be the most cost effective, in my personal opinion. You get an additional cover, so you're instantly getting rid of 1 hit if your opponent's trying to destroy you or attack you, basically. But that technically wouldn't really matter because you do have armor. It would matter for the back, I guess, but yeah, I guess you wouldn't even really need him, honestly. Not gonna lie. Probably Reckless Driver then. Not gonna lie. I would probably definitely choose Reckless Driver. Get out of the way. Move over there. Alright. Reckless Driver. Why? Because you basically get to smack into your opponent and just start throwing damage down. I mean, that would be pretty hilarious. So, alright, so going on over to your more so favored. Obviously, you're not going to be able to have all of these cards attached to this, but I'm going to explain my certain combos right quick. I would very rarely use the heavy laser retro rift. It's not really necessary. It's only 16 points. I mean, you double that and you get something way better, like 110% in my opinion. With that, going to your comms, either link targeting array if you want this thing to actually act as a tank or a mobile cannon source, then I would definitely say link targeting array. Otherwise, onboard comms channel. Basically, you're able to activate whatever's in it, which would also be able to cohese along with either Shriv or your medic or your unorthodox tactician going on alongside with that. For having your double crew members, I would have one of several different things. Actually, go into your pilots right quick. Shriv would be more for an army-oriented base. Hotshot would be a more self-centered attack. I'd honestly go for Shriv, though. I mean, if you're going all out, you might as well go all out. And now you can go either a defensive way, which having 2 Gonk droids or 1 Gonk droid. Either one will do you a little bit of good. That's where these shields come into play. They basically act as a mobile shield generator, which is cool. That unstable RS or R5 Astromech would par wonderfully with your, where is he? Your Reckless Driver. That guy would be hilarious along with this, mainly because after you move, you get to pretty much activate, potentially lose a little bit of health. Might not be the end of the world if you have a Gonk droid. Basically, it will cancel each other out. And then you have this Reckless Driver just like drive this thing into your army and just play bowling, you know. I think that would be hilarious. But that's my opinion for this deck, more or less to be played, or for this vehicle to be more or less played, as we will have this thing built in a few moments. All right, for the speeder truck, the build for it wasn't terrible at all, honestly. I personally had a bit of fun building it. In terms of layering and everything, it stacks together pretty well. I don't have the majority of it glued together because I'm going to be doing a painting prep. But you can pop the top off, put as many minifigs in here as you need. I'm pretty sure to be able to have more than enough of a squad here. We'll pop a few clones in right quick. Yeah. So you would pretty much be able to fit a full-size squad in there and then be able to pop the lid back on, of course. Why not? Kind of, maybe. It'll have it sticking out a little bit, but you'd be able to rearrange it. To have a regular squad in there might have to be cramped a little bit because of the stands, but other than that, it does fit a regular squad confirmed. So you do have that technical playability with the speeder. Other than that, it's pretty solid build. It's a giant cube. I mean, there's no other way to put it. But in terms of detailing, they do definitely try to put in some pretty good effort. Opening it up inside, move these all out. We'll worry about that later, actually. You have a little weapons rack, some chairs, and a little door that opens up to the cockpit. Other than that, that's pretty much it. So, hope you guys like this video. Definitely put the link in the description below. Local game store. Until next time, this is Teaminator signing off. Bye-bye.